Hello, property nomads. Hope you're doing well. So, surprise, surprise, we've got more councils being very anti-motorist, and people are starting to show a bit more fight against this, which is probably a good thing. There's a couple of articles that I'm going to go back and forth between, as usual. Both of these links will be on the show notes. One comes from a website called My London. The other one comes from the Metro paper as well. So again, we'll put the links into the description or the comments below, just so you've got it. And they're both to do with the same council, actually, and it's Lambeth Council. And they've been accused of a war on motorists with regards to a hike in parking costs for people. And then also there was quite a damning article showing that because of low traffic neighborhoods, so this is where streets are blocked off to stop the cars getting from A to B as easily as possible. Because of all of that, what's happened is people have found new travel routes, and someone went on a bus because the bus goes up this a particular route, and apparently it took 2 hours to do 3 miles, which I think even by most standards in most cities around the world is absolutely chaotic. And that blame has been put down onto these low traffic neighbourhood schemes. So yeah, they both come from Lambeth Council, sorry. And yeah, it's absolutely crazy what's going on. I sometimes wonder how anything is done in London, to be perfectly honest with you. Let's head over to the first article now. And this is the one from My London. So they're framing this as in it's going to affect teachers and doctors and all key workers. Now, I think from what I've read, everyone's affected by this. It's another case of what councils are doing is that a lot of councils are not necessarily run financially astutely, and because they've got themselves into all these holes, what they then need to do is to then look at, rather than sort of cutting down loads of staff and expenses, they look at the easiest targets, and the easiest targets nowadays are landlords and motorists, by the sounds of it. And of course, as usual with all council speak, I really wish Orwell would have written that in 1984, but I'm going to lay claim to it. Council speak. Again, it's being done under the guise of climate change, net zero policies, and less pollution and better for our constituents, which can only wash so far, because as we've always said with environmental economics, anything like that, what happens is the theory is okay until someone gets the bill, and then it's normally you getting the bill for decisions that are out of your control, and there's only so much of that people can take. What they're looking to do is they are looking to, and again, this is Lambeth Council. So the cost of a parking permit in the area would be linked to the amount of CO2 emissions that your vehicle emits. Surprise, surprise. I wonder why they're doing that. So apparently the owner of a typical UK car would see their band H permit increase by 35%. So they're basically inflating the price of that by 35%. Now, I don't know what the actual inflation rate is at the moment, because the data you're given, the data we're given, is completely different from the actual data. So government will say it's about 3 to 4% at the moment. But this is a 35% increase in the cost of a parking permit. That's criminal. And looks like that's going to be across the board as well. What amazed me in this is the emissions-based pricing would also apply to businesses with parking permits. And apparently, a business owner with a Ford Transit van would have had to pay £1,972.16 for a permit to park across the borough in the last year. That's nearly £2,000. Talk about a cost of doing business, and I wonder how anything ever gets done in London. But according to their emission-based charging system that they want to implement, is that van would now cost just under £3,000 for a permit for 2024-2025. That is nearly 100% increase on the cost of doing that. Just you talk about daylight robbery, and we're seeing this here with our own eyes. The same council's also looking to slap families with a parking permit surcharge as well. So again, if you've got more than one permit, you're going to get hit with a surcharge. And apparently there were exemptions from the council's annual diesel scheme. That's going to be scrapped as well. So basically, it is a war on motorists. A complete war on motorists. They're claiming that a quarter of CO2 emissions in land from road transport. And again, as we're just about to see from the other article, again, they're aiming to cut greenhouse gas emissions to as close to zero as possible by 2030. So again, it's just a complete war on motorists. And I understand that driving around London in general is never going to be easy. I get that. And if you're driving anywhere like London, even in Brighton, you're going to become a better driver anyway because there's so many things to watch out for. But again, it just seems like it's going about it the wrong way. It's again all net zero, all climate change, all of this nonsense, and it's being forced on to people that live there, to people that work there. And I just wonder how or why anything ever gets done in these areas. And it's the people that live there that are going to be that ultimately they're going to be missing out as well. Apologies for the lighting. I've just seen that I look like some at a Batman because I'm half white, half black, half dark, half not on the video. So apologies there, issues with current light, but apologies for that. So that moves us on to our second article, which is a part of London where apparently it takes 2 hours to do 3 miles. And I've actually done some work here before a while ago. So I'm aware of these low traffic neighbourhood schemes that have been introduced, and also I think it's the A23, maybe it's the A24 stretch of road in this area, and it is. I mean, it seems like it's hell the best of times. So this wouldn't have helped as well. Now, I know this has been labelled. Again, this comes from Metro, and it's it's 2 hours to get 3 miles. I think maybe that is every now and then. I don't think this is a daily thing, but I don't live there to give you definitive answer on that. But the fact that it's 2 hours to do 3 miles is absolutely bonkers. And so again, Lambeth Council. There's an area in and around Streatham Wells, a low traffic neighbourhood. Again, with low traffic neighbourhoods, they block off the roads, they make them like, cyclists only or whatever. And it basically means that it stops cars from getting around as easy. And if you're a driver and you've got all these road blockages, what happens is you're normally then forced into a particular route or a particular way to get from A to B, which again, okay. But then again, when we're dealing with London, and then you're dealing with buses, you're dealing with an inadequate existing road network anyway, and you've then got more traffic being forced onto a smaller area. So just think of it like supply and demand. Your supply remains the same. Your supply decreases because you've got less ways to get from A to B, but then you're channeling people into a much higher condensed area. So your demand's increasing. So supply down and demand up at the same time equals, in this case, congestion. It's chaos. Funnily enough, the council blamed emergency roadworks back in the day, and they blamed that on the congestion, saying that it expected conditions to improve as road users got used to the new scheme. Hello, London, not going to happen. That's not how it works over there. But after operation for 4 months, the gridlock is so bad. Apparently, it took the bus that this chap was on when he was doing this, 121 minutes to travel 2.9 miles. It is down the A23. I thought it might. Down the A23 on the western side of the low traffic neighbourhood. And according to Transport for London data as well. So obviously that bus was monitored, and that's what happens. Amazes me that it would have apparently walking that route only takes 29. Normally the route only takes 29 minutes, but on this particular time it's 121 minutes. As you can see on the video here, this is an example of a low traffic neighbourhood. So yeah, what happens is they block it off for motorists, motorbikes, etc. And of course you've got this rather happy looking cyclist that can get through. And of course, if you're a pedestrian, you can get through as well. And this is what's creating a lot of issues at the moment, not just in Lambeth, it is up and down the country as well, to be honest. And then, yeah, this is a photo of what's happening here. And again, I think that stretch of the A23 doesn't help because you have 2 lanes going to 1 lane, and then go back into 2 lanes, and then go back into 1 lane. I think you've got bus lanes and all sorts of things happening as well. The current road network infrastructure in that place is not suitable either. Again, just like it's not suitable in most parts of London. We'll put a link into that into the show notes, as I said. But again, so what's happening here is that people are coming up with these genius ideas of how they ideally want their council to be run, and net zero policies, and people not really looking at improving the existing road network as such, and let's try and facilitate A to B as best as we can. And again, what's happening here is it's just making everyone's lives hell. So again, if you're traveling on bus, because bus is the way you get to work, you're being faced with much higher times, which is again a burden of your time. And if you are a motorist and you live within the Lambeth Council's constituency, what's happening at the same time is you're being screwed, because as we've seen, parking permits look like they're going to be going up at 35%, at least 35%. And if you happen to work in the area and you own a Ford Transit van, for example, your permit's going to be going up by nearly 100%. In the next year. It's absolutely crazy. I'll go back to what I said at the start. I wonder sometimes how anything gets done in certain councils in the UK. And again, the worst part of it all is it's being done under the guise of climate change and net zero policies and all of that nonsense. Because of that, just come out and say you need the cash. And I think people would grin and bear it a bit better rather than doing it under the charade of climate change. Hey ho, excuse me. Hey ho, it is what it is. Do stay tuned. We've got loads of videos coming up, more to do with councils and all this nonsense that's going on out there in the world. Apologies for the lighting on this video. I'll make sure it's better for next time. Please do us a small favour. Please like and subscribe to the channel, where we're seeing the videos get more traction. We're seeing more subscribers come into the channel, which is lovely. We really enjoy producing this content. We hope it adds value, and we're here to fight back against everything, basically, and we'll do that as constructively as we can. All I can say is unlucky if you live in Lambeth Council. Hasta luego. See you in the next video.